encourage everyone to go check out Epic History X-Men Volume 3. It's now available on Vimeo on demand. It's all about the Dark Phoenix saga. It's going to be so sick. If you want to hear about the Dark Phoenix saga and know what the fuck is really up with the X-Men, like, don't go see that garbage movie that's coming out. I heard that they're trying to set up the Dark Phoenix saga for the next shitty Bryan Singer movie, and I'm just going to throw up. Like, I'm so disgusted. Like, they already fucked it up once. Like, leave it alone. Like, stop messing around with it. Like, it's not going to be right. It's a 4-year fucking thing that unravels in the comics, and you have to do the Phoenix saga before you get to the Dark Phoenix saga, and everyone just wants to skip over that. So, you can watch my fucking shit. We have Epic History X-Men Volume 1 and 2 already on YouTube. They're each an hour long. They're for free right now. And then we have Epic History X-Men Volume 3 coming out on Vimeo on demand. Check it out. It'll be $3.99. It's super awesome. I've been doing the best voiceovers for it. It's so much fun. Lilandra's my favorite. You guys are awesome. All right, guys.
Big story now.
Big story. The one you've all been waiting for. Oh my Lord. Okay, so this weekend I didn't see the movie until last night. I went and saw it last night because all weekend I was working my tits off to get a documentary out on time. And like I probably had 10 hours of sleep within 2 days of that weekend. And we pulled like 3 all-nighters pretty much. And then I kind of flopped around most of the day on Monday. And my friend actually invited me to a barbecue, and I said, I can't go. I'm so tired. I just want to cry in a fucking puddle all day. So I didn't do anything fun. Since I'm a glutton for punishment, I went and saw that shitty fucking movie. And I watched, Game of Thrones and stuff to catch up for you guys. So I didn't even take a day off. I just watched a bunch of media so I could talk to you about it today. So I'm going to start off this thing by talking about some of the things that I liked, because I don't want to just piss all over everything, because there were a few things that I did enjoy in the movie. I will say that I really liked Nightcrawler a lot. I'd like to see more of him, but I thought he was really adorable. That actor did a really great job. I love seeing him bamf around. Like, he's such a cool character. And I liked his attitude. He's like, I would like to go to the mall, and I was like, I would like to see you motherfuckers at the mall is what I would like to see, but I guess we're not going to see that, whatever. But I was excited about him. Okay. Well, the plot overall is, so you have this ancient mutant, the first mutant in Sabanur, and he's super, super powerful. He's got this big cult around him, and he keeps putting himself in different bodies to regenerate and keep staying alive. And then his people, apparently they don't like him. So they stage a coup and they try to bury him in this giant black fucking pyramid deal. And he gets smushed. He gets in there, and apparently, like, he just hangs out and he's fine. Like, even his costume doesn't rot away after thousands of years of being in there, or whatever. But he comes back after he's excavated. Some of his old cult people are back, and they excavate him, and the sun gets in there, and then he fucking comes back, and then he's like, oh, humanity sucks. I guess I'm just gonna kill everyone. And by scanning a TV, I'm going to kill everybody. And then he chooses his 4 horsemen, which 3 of which are not that powerful. Doesn't really, I don't know. Yeah. And, and then you have Magneto, who is trying to be a good guy, and, things didn't work out for him. So he decides to be a fucking horseman because he's just ready to fuck shit up because he's like super bummed. And then, you have on the other side, you have Charles Xavier's school. They're doing their school thing, and Scott comes into the school and he meets Jean, and then Jennifer Lawrence is, I don't know, she's been running around just being Jennifer Lawrence, I guess. And then they all have to get together to fight Apocalypse because he wants to destroy everything. That's the plot, I think. Is that the plot? Is that about it?
Yeah, that was it.
Is about it? Okay.
Talk about the character.
Yeah, it's really compelling stuff here, guys. It's really like, man, the tension. Okay, so back to things that I liked, though. Okay, back to things that I liked. I will say that McAvoy and Fassbender reprising their roles. They do a really great job. I don't think Fassbender can just have a bad performance. I don't think he's capable of presenting a bad performance in anything because he's fucking amazing. He's the best, and he was definitely the highlight of the movie. He's obviously the only character that, they cared about to tell any interesting stories about. And, he's trying to be this good guy, although I don't really see Magneto working as a factory worker, but, whatever. he's trying to do this family thing, and then they find out because he like saves a guy with his powers. And he could have just said, hey, it was telekinesis. I don't know why he wasn't growing a beard though. I feel like if he was incognito, he'd have a beard or something, but whatever. And then
Work in the mines.
his daughter and his wife are killed by those policemen accidentally, and so then he goes nuts, and he's gonna kill everybody. And that scene in the forest was really great. Like that was like the best scene. I feel like that was a really solid scene, and his performances are always really great. And again, also with McAvoy was good. I enjoyed his situation, but again, it's like those people came from First Class. Those castings were from First Class, so it's kind of have to give Matthew Vaughn credit a little bit for those because that's where they came from, and they're really good.
Is First Class the best X-Men?
Because First Class is definitely the most solid X-Men movie. I wouldn't say that it's really an X-Men movie. I mean, kind of is the closest thing that resembles the X-Men, but I wouldn't say it's the X-Men. It's not the true X-Men. I mean, Havoc is on First. Oh fuck. Yeah. So what else did I like about this movie? I did enjoy the Cyclops scene where they take him to the school and then he's got to unwrap the bandages and they're like, all right, just try it. And then he destroys the tree and McAvoy's like, that was actually my favorite tree, and he's like, am I expelled? And he's like, no, you're totally accepted. Like, you're going to be great here. I thought that was cool to finally see Cyclops doing something cool because, I mean, I've never seen him pretty much do anything cool in any movie because he's like, I don't know why he's so hated on. Like, Singer hates that character so much and goes out of his way to make him look like a fucking tool bag. It just because he loves Wolverine so much, that's the long and short of it. Is like all the X-Men movies really haven't been X-Men movies. They've been Wolverine movies. And even the Wolverine, it's like I really appreciate that Hugh Jackman like really cares about the character of Wolverine. He's done a great job with Logan. He's gotten super ripped for the role. Like he really has tried. It's just unfortunate that what they've given him, the material they've given him hasn't been that great. And also, I mean, he's always crying about his fucking past. It's like the Wolverine I know does not cry about his fucking past all the time. Like, it's like, yeah, he wants to know, but like, I mean, how many movies are we going to see him crying about his fucking past? It's just. I know. I mean, how many origin stories? I mean, fucking Wolverine origins. Like, you guys, like, do you guys remember that? Like, whoa, like, man, that was really bad. So, let's talk about some character business here. Since we're talking about Wolverine, we'll talk about the Weapon X cameo that comes in because, you can't have an X-Men movie without Wolverine popping up in it because everybody loves Hugh Jackman as Wolverine so much. And so, they're like, well, we got to put him in there. So they just kind of shoehorned this Weapon X scene in there, which really doesn't service the plot in any way, shape, or form. It has no bearing on anything. It's just kind of like in there to just put it in there to make people happy, and it just has no real point behind it. And, and it's odd to me too that, I was excited to see that they tried to do some of the tech helmet, like Weapon X stuff, although it does look way cooler in the comics because it's like a full helmet. In fact, it looks so cool that when I was a kid, I specifically bought that Weapon X Wolverine because it's like, I thought that shit looked so dope. But they tried and it looked somewhat comparable to the comics. Which they don't ever do. But at the same time, it's odd to me that they would try to do that and make that look like the comics, but then the rest of the movie doesn't look anything like the comics, and they never try. And honestly, Michael, I'm tired of Wolverine as well, and I would like to see this is a Hollywood Wolverine, okay? This is like tall, handsome, like fuckable Wolverine, okay? Like it's not my Wolverine is ugly and hairy and short. Okay, he's like 5'3" and he's like 200 pounds of muscle and he's just hairy as fuck. If I had my way, I would go back in time. I would get Bob Hoskins. I would just fill him full of, HGH and steroids and just make him work out a bunch and then transport him. And then that's who would play Wolverine. I would love to see an ugly little hairy man because it makes sense of why, him and Jean wouldn't hook up because Jean's with Scott. And like, I mean, as much as they do have that attraction to one another, it's like at the end of the day, Scott looks better on her arm than Wolverine. And Wolverine's kind of like you can't take that guy to a party, like he's kind of an asshole. Like you can't, like he's not going to be a great boyfriend, like, I mean, he may be fun to like, have some hot sex with, but it's not, and also, also the fact that Wolverine always ends up killing his girlfriend. Or Sabretooth kills his girlfriend. I mean, it's like if you're Wolverine's girlfriend, you're gonna get murdered. Like that's just what's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm excited to see Hugh Jackman, even though I appreciate his appreciation for the character and that I feel like he's really tried and I love that, I would like to see a new Wolverine. You know, it was, yes, Brent, Wolverine needs to be handsome on the inside, you know, and even then he's not always handsome on the inside. Like he's got like crazy berserker stuff. And in the movie, I felt like when he is berserker Wolverine, and this is something, I mean, if anyone who made this movie bothered to read any of the comics, when Wolverine is in berserker mode, he cannot be reached by telepaths. Like he's such an animal that like no one can do anything about it. Like he's just a crazy person. So, you know, I mean, there was that whole thing. So whatever. All right, let's move on to let's talk about Apocalypse. Okay. This is somebody that I've never really liked Apocalypse in the comics either. I'm not a big fan of overpowered villains, you know, like that's because it's boring. You know, when they can do anything, it's like it's boring to me, you know. I mean, that's why I'm not really looking forward to Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, because I'm not a huge fan of giant Marvel events. I feel like they usually are just kind of big, dumb, stupid events that get in the way of like actual continuity of really interesting stuff that's going on. But you know, I mean, I'm sure Thanos will be better than Apocalypse, but Apocalypse was just like, it felt like they never established what his powers are in the movie. He just like turns people into dust, I guess, and then puts them in walls. And you know, and he can build anything and tear it down, and then he can kind of get in somebody's mind, and then he can, you know. And the thing was, it was funny because you know Oscar Isaac couldn't move around in that fucking suit, so I mean, he didn't do anything physical. He never punches anybody unless, except in that sequence in the psychic astral plane sequence. That was the only time you see him doing anything physical because he's a 3D CGI fucking character then. Because I don't think that his really shitty costume allowed him to do anything. And in fact, I feel really bad for Oscar Isaac. It's just such a waste of his talent. Like he's such a talented guy, and he did the best he could with what he was given. Unfortunately, what he was given wasn't much at all. It was just, yeah, there's no motivation there. It's just kind of silly. He's just like, oh, okay, I just want to kill everybody. All right, fascinating. And like, yeah, so when he put that guy in the wall the first time, like I immediately thought of Wishmaster. Which is like one of my favorite like bad movies. Like I have it on DVD, like, and Wishmaster too. I'm an asshole. And it's like, if I'm thinking of Wishmaster right now, like this is not good. Like this is not going to bode well for anybody. You know, and also I was really disappointed with, you know, his horsemen as well. Like, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, why does he even need those people? Like and they just follow him around and do nothing and just stand there and like smirking all the time. Like, it was really dumb. Yeah, you know, the horseman, like, so Angel is actually the only person who has ever been a horseman for Apocalypse in the comic books, but it doesn't make sense in this movie why he would choose Angel at all, because Angel seems so lame in this movie. And he's obviously, I mean, did they even say his name, Warren? I mean, that's not Angel at all. Warren Worthington is from a rich family. He's had a good life, you know, like he's super loaded. He's a playboy. He's like nothing. I don't know who that guy was, but that wasn't Angel, you know? And, you know, what's really interesting about Angel was, okay, so in the comic books, there was this thing called the Morlock Massacre. And, you know, all these Morlocks were being fucking killed off. I think Mr. Sinister was like setting this like team, this asshole team, the Marauders, after them, and the X-Men get involved in this, and they're trying to save the Morlocks. And during this fight, Angel gets pinned to a wall, you know, like his fucking angel wings are pinned to a wall, and this shit really fucks him up, and he develops gangrene in his wings, and he ends up going to the hospital, and he has this friend of his named Cameron Hodges, who's really a frenemy. It's not really his friend, it's totally his enemy, and he's like fucking him over behind his back. And so Cameron Hodges tells the doctors to amputate his wings, like against Warren's wishes. And so Warren wakes up and his wings are gone. And he's so distraught about this that he leaves. He's like he's suicidal, and he leaves, and he hops in his own private jet, you know, and he flies off. And Cameron Hodges had fucked with the jet. And so the jet explodes. And so everyone thinks that Warren died. But what happens at the very last minute is that Apocalypse absconds with him, like spirits him away, and says, hey, you know, I'll give you your wings back, you know, but you have to like be my dude. And, you know, he's so distraught and suicidal and like in such a dark place that he's willing to do anything to get his wings back. So he accepts. And then he's completely brainwashed, you know, and like turned into like this whole other entity who ends up like fighting his teammates. And it's like, that's really interesting.
That's
like,
a cool idea.
like that's a cool fucking idea, you know, like there's a lot of tension there. There's like motivations, there's things going on. None of that was apparent in this. I was also really offended by what they did with Storm. I thought that was pretty lame because, you know, Storm didn't get her white hair and her awesome powers from some fucking guy. She has those powers because she's awesome, and she's never been a bad guy once in the comic books. True that she was in Egypt at one point, and she was like stealing and stuff like that after she was orphaned. Her parents were killed in this fucking random blast, and they died in this fucking apartment, and she had nothing, so she was on the streets as a beggar and taken in by this dude who taught her how to pick all these locks and stuff. And she comes from a long line of these women who have white hair and blue eyes, you know, like they're these, you know, African witches. And so that's why she has that. And so in this movie, to have, you know, Apocalypse give her like booster powers to make her as awesome as she is, and then give her white hair. And keep in mind, she doesn't have blue eyes either. I mean, they've never even tried to do that in any of the movies. Yeah, I mean, this is like, yeah, X-Men hair origins was what this should have been called, you know. Yeah, we'll get into Professor X balding in just a second. Okay, okay, so there was, okay, and then there's also Psylocke, you know, and that was also, it was just like, why was she even there? What did she even do? They didn't even try to talk to you about how Psylocke has telekinetic power, or telepathic powers, and that blade she has is like a telepathic blade. Like, it's like fucks your mind up, you know, and it's like super nuts, and it doesn't ever turn into a whip or anything like that. But Kid Omega can do shit like that, but she can't. She just has like this fucking blade thing that comes off. But, you know, they didn't have time to talk about any of that stuff, I guess. She had like 2 lines, and I felt like, I mean, I just felt like the casting didn't do anything for me personally. It just kind of, the outfit looked like cosplay, and it was very, I mean, something that I get really frustrated with in a lot of these movies, and this isn't just X-Men, is, you know, I see these women on screen playing these superheroes, and I see these men on screen playing superheroes, and it looks like these men are like working out like a motherfucker, and they've got muscles, and it's like, whoa. But then the women just kind of look like they're just models, and like they never have muscles. And, you know, I remember seeing Edge of Tomorrow, and like Emily Blunt, like she fucking got ripped. Like her arms like looked good, you know? And I was like, dang. And like, she's like, I was like, I believed that she could kick somebody's ass. You know, she went there. And so did, you know, Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. I mean, like Sarah Connor, like she looked like, when I was a kid and I saw that, I was like, that is the most badass chick in the fucking world. You know, like I would like to be Sarah Connor when I grow up, you know, like that is the deal. And so, and I feel like if I was ever cast in anything, like I would fucking work my ass off to like have crazy muscles, you know, so I would like look the part. But, you know, that's, you know, neither here nor there, I guess. Can we have Quicksilver? He was a highlight of the movie. I mean, he, like, Evan Peters does a really great job with that character. Even though it's not like in the comics, like Quicksilver's kind of an asshole. He's just kind of like an asshole. And he has like all these daddy issues. And like he's kind of a bummer. But Evan Peters he brought some levity, you know, which I really enjoyed. I liked it when they were in the cage, and that guy's like, "Where is he?" And he's like, "We don't know, bro." Like, I thought that was really funny when he said, "We don't know, bro." But I did think that they kind of made him a bit overpowered.
Way too overpowered.
He was very overpowered, like, and it's kind of like, I mean, he's fast, but I don't know if he's like stopping time fast necessarily, you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like he was a bit overpowered. It's like people liked what happened in Days of Future Past, so they just took that and then like times 10, you know. And yeah, I mean, he seems more powerful than the X-Men if he's like this fucking strong. And like, why does he just hang out in a basement? And like, this is supposed to be 10 years afterwards. This is a decades afterwards. Like, he hasn't aged a goddamn day, and and he's still living in his mom's basement, and like, he's doing nothing with this awesome power that he has. Like, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. And also the fact that like, you know, I've always been like, well, he's Magneto's son, so is that ever going to be a thing? And I thought that they just weren't even going to try with that. But then they do in this movie. But then I thought it was really interesting that, okay, so you have in the end him and Mystique. And Mystique's like, I'm here for you're our family, and you have more family than you know. And then Evan Peters, he never says to Magneto, I'm your son. He never says that. Why would he not say it? He's right there. Why wouldn't he say that? Because that would have been a great motivation for Magneto to turn on Apocalypse when later on you see Quicksilver like trying to beat up Apocalypse, and Apocalypse like snaps his leg and shit and like fucks this shit up really hard. Like that would have been an amazing motivation for him to be like, oh shit, I've already seen my daughter die. I'm not going to watch my son die, you know, but they didn't even do that, which was like really like that's a missed opportunity. I'm like, okay, sure, why not? And then, you know, talking about Magneto again, like he was like Fassbender's amazing. He's super good. But I still didn't understand. I mean, I did like seeing the magnetic bubble they did around him finally. Like, I mean, I've been waiting for that magnetic bubble for a while, and like that was cool. I'll give him that. But like I didn't exactly understand what he was doing. Like what? So he's just destroying everything and just like I didn't. He's just up there just destroying shit. Like for what? Like I don't know, because I feel like, you know, Apocalypse, like in the comics at least, like he didn't want to kill everybody. He just wanted to kill the humans, or at least subjugate them. You know, he was against humans, and he wanted like mutants to rule, and he wanted to rule mutants. You know, like that was kind of the deal. So it's like, I mean, the way that they're destroying everything, I mean, that would be killing mutant and human alike. You know, I mean, that'd be killing everybody. And it's just, I don't know. It's like, what are you gonna do after you're done? You know, what's the plan? You know, you're just gonna destroy everything.
What's the plan when he wins?
Yeah, what's the big plan when he wins? You know, I don't know.
Just sit and be done. Mystique.
You know, and then okay, so we had Jennifer Lawrence coming back as Mystique, and God, she didn't want to be there. I didn't want her to be there. Nobody, like, she was fucking did as little as she possibly could. And I don't blame her. I mean, I would be bummed if I signed a contract before I got really famous and then I was stuck in this shitty franchise. Like, I totally understand. Like, I get it. And it sucks that, you know, Fox keeps using her and being like, oh, you know, you're stuck in bondage, so we're gonna fucking put your face on every fucking poster for this shitty movie. And she doesn't want to be in that makeup, you know, and they never put her in the makeup. And honestly, it goes back on her story arc from First Class, where you have, you know, mutant and proud, you know, I'm mutant and proud. But then now you see her and she's never a mutant, and she's always just Jennifer Lawrence. And on top of that, she didn't even want to wear a fucking costume. So they just like, she's like, I just want to wear something that's comfortable. So they just put her in a tank top and a jacket, and her hair was loosely done. And, you know, I don't know. And but even when she is in the blue makeup, she looks terrible. I mean, she's no Rebecca Romaine Stamos. I mean, like, no offense, girl. She's beautiful. I love Jennifer Lawrence. I have nothing against her, but she doesn't need to be in that movie. And another thing too is, you know, Mystique is not a hero. Like, she's not a hero in the comics. In fact, she's kind of an annoying bitch that, like, I fucking hate. And she's just, like, fucking always being an asshole. Like, she's never awesome, ever, you know? Like, so, I mean, I don't know. She has her moments. She does have her moments, because she is all about the mutants. But yeah, it's just overusing these minor characters, you know, that just, like, don't tell me that she's a fucking hero. I don't get that. Another thing that I found to be really, really disappointing was the fact that Beast could turn it on and off. Beast can turn it on and off. I mean, that kind of takes all the tragedy out of his character, which is what makes him interesting. And it's also the fact that, like, he's so smart, and yet he looks like this animal, and people treat him like that, despite the fact that he's this very sensitive human being. You know, like, he's this very sensitive person. And he would give anything to look like a normal person, you know, but he can't. And that's his curse, you know. And it's like, it's so tragic and wonderful and beautiful. And the fact that they just totally are like, well, you know, Jennifer Lawrence doesn't want to be in the makeup, and I'm her old boyfriend, and I don't want to be in the makeup, so I'm not going to be in the makeup either. And it's just like, it's just lazy to me. It just felt really lazy to me. It felt like these people didn't care about their characters. You know, they just don't want to be in the makeup. And it's like, I get it. I mean, being in a makeup chair is really difficult. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, I've been painted blue before, like, and it took hours, and it's a lot of shit to deal with. But, you know, you're also being paid like a lot of money to do it. So, you know, I don't know, it's kind of your job. So don't take the job if you don't want to do it. You know, that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I hated the way he looked too. It's like, I loved him in First Class, where he's Kitty Beast. I'm a cat person, so I love the Kitty Beast incarnation. He just looked so dumb. And he's also, like, wearing clothes. Like, why is Beast wearing clothes? He would be so fucking hot in that. Like, I mean, he's, like, covered in hair. Like, he does not need clothes. Like, you give him some, like, he usually has little little, you know, little shorts on, you know, but he doesn't need a full fucking outfit. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And he was also kind of useless in the movie as well. You also have Jean Grey, played by Sophie Turner. And, you know, I thought she was going to be worse than she was. I'm neutral on her. She didn't do a bad job. But she did, you know, but she did the best with what she was given, you know, which again wasn't that much. I didn't feel like, and quite honestly, okay, so in the end of the in the end of the movie, in the end of the movie, where you know she's helping out fucking what's his face deal with Apocalypse. He's like, let it go, Jean, let it go, just let it go, and then she turns into the fucking Phoenix. And at that point, director T-Bone, who he audibly booed and left the theater. And so I was like, oh shit. So, and I was already over it. So I just left too. I was like, I'm out of here. You know, this is, I mean, especially after we've done 2-hour-long documentaries specifically about the Phoenix, specifically about the Phoenix and about the Dark Phoenix, you know, like this is just so mishandled. Like the Phoenix is not, it's not Jean. Like it's a cosmic entity that bonds with her. It is not her. And I can't believe that they're sticking to the nonsense that they put in X-Men 3, you know, which is universally hated. I mean, nobody likes that movie. And yet here we are we're repeating the same beats, you know, like, and then now they're saying they want to do Dark Phoenix again. You're going to fuck it up twice? Like, really? Okay. That's, oof, you guys are fucking killing me. You have, yeah, Tyson says he wishes he had walked out sooner. I mean, I was like, he looked at actually halfway through. He's like, do you want to just leave? And I was like, no, if I'm going to talk shit about this movie, I need to sit down and watch it. Like, you know, whatever. So, you know, I sat through it, but yeah, after that Phoenix thing though, I mean, I just walked out and was just like, ah, and like, we were just yelling and probably disrupting everybody, but everyone in the theater was laughing about how dumb it was anyways. We were in a really good theater that like also wasn't really into it. People were laughing when we walked out. They were like having a good time with our crazy reactions. Looking like crazy people. And also, okay, so you have Professor X too, and McAvoy. I mean, he does a good job. He's always doing a good job. You know, although it is the most dramatic, emboldening scene. I think Devin Faraci wrote that. Is the most dramatic, emboldening scene in film. You know, which is like again X-Men hair origins. Like it was just like okay. So then why was Patrick Stewart bald? I mean, but who knows? These timelines are so fucked, you know. I mean, they don't even pay attention to their own timelines. I mean, let's not mention the fact that, well, let's mention it. In Days of Future Past, at the very end, you have, oh, Wolverine's been caught by Stryker, but then it's revealed that it was Mystique, you know. And so in this movie, Stryker has Wolverine. It's like they're not even paying attention to the last movie that they just made. Like they're like, what? Like you told what? What are you guys doing? Like, did you guys even watch the movie you made? Do you even remember what was going on? Because it was Mystique that got him. That doesn't make any fucking sense, guys. Oh my God. And last but not least, I'd like to take a moment to talk about Scott Summers. One of just fuck, man. They just didn't even give a fuck to read a comic book, read the Wikipedia page, read the Marvel handbook. I mean, they don't reference the comics at all in these movies, in my opinion. I've yet to actually see an X-Man on screen. And yeah, with Cyclops, first of all, Cyclops is not Havoc's little brother. He's Havoc's big brother. Second of all, he was orphaned. They were both orphaned. Their parents were supposedly killed, although the dad and the mom were taken by the Shi'ar Empire. And then the dad ends up becoming an awesome space pirate named Corsair, which is like super awesome. And you find out about that in the Phoenix Saga. That's a whole deal that happens in Volume 2 if you want to check it out. And, you know, he also doesn't just get his powers while he's at high school and like he's not a preppy bro who's from the middle class. Like, in fact, Scott Summers has had a really, really dark childhood. Like, he was in the plane with his parents. The plane was attacked. It's on fucking fire. There's only one parachute. His parents put the parachute on him. Okay. And they're like, hold on to your brother. So he's just holding on to his brother, you know, push him out of an airplane. Then while they're going down, the fucking parachute catches on fire. Okay. And then he's so traumatized by this event that his powers come on and they manifest themselves and he kind of hits the ground with a blast, which like helps like soften their fall. But he's still put in a coma. Like, and that's why part of the reason why he can't control his powers is because he hit his head when he fell. And when he comes to, he is taken in by an orphanage, the state orphanage or whatever, or Nebraska or something. And I don't think he remembers who he, or maybe he does. I don't know. But Havoc ends up like Alex is like adopted or he's taken away. So he's not even with his little brother. His little brother is gone. He doesn't even find his little brother until he's like a late teen, maybe early adult. And and then okay, so and then the orphanage is ran by Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister was just really like running tests on him the whole time and like fucking with his mind, and like he ran away when he was 16, and he's just like he's had everybody in his life has been taken away from him, you know, and like he makes him really dark and like really brooding and stuff like that, and he's just like afraid to love anybody because he doesn't want to lose anybody. And so none of that is represented in this film. And in fact, also his powers are not heat based. His laser blast deal is not really a laser. It's concussive. It just hits stuff really hard. It doesn't explode things. It's not hot. But you know, nobody over there is reading any of the comics or anything. So
the tree's on fire.
So the tree's on fire, whatever. I mean, even though the tree scene was cool, it's like it's not fire. Like you guys, like just get it right. Like fuck, you know. And I've been talking mad shit on Twitter, you know, and some people have brought up to my attention that, you know, both Hugh Jackman and James Marsden have admitted that director Bryan Singer in the X-Men 1 and X-Men 2 films banned comic books from the set. He told them not to even read a comic book, that the script was their Bible, and to not even look at the source material. That's how much, I mean, and that's a huge problem. Like that's like making a Lord of the Rings movie without reading Lord of the Rings. You can't do that. Like the only person who can do weird shit like that is Jodorowsky for Jodorowsky's Dune. Like he's the only one that I will allow to do that. Like everyone else, like fuck you. Like this is like you can't do that. If you're gonna make a movie about something, then you have to read the source material and you have to respect the source material, because that's the whole reason you're making this movie in the first place, is because people like this for so long. I mean, the X-Men have been around since 1963. They're enduring for a reason. Bobby says, I think Fox just looked at the covers of the comics and made a plot from that. Agreed. And, you know, as we all know, the covers of the comics usually aren't even indicative of what's inside. So it's a lot of times it's just some shit they put on there to sell a comic, and it's not even really what's happening. I was also really disappointed where they're talking about going to the mall, and like, they're like, I was like, oh fuck, they're going to go to the mall. Like I was so excited to see them at the mall. And then they just cut all that out. And then you just see them coming out of a theater, and they're talking about, and then they make some, oh God, this comment where they made the comment about Star Wars, and he said, oh, well, you know, if it wasn't for the first one, there wouldn't be any of these movies, you know, and that's Bryan Singer saying, you know, well, if it wasn't for my first X-Men movie, there wouldn't be any of these other superhero films, and that he single-handedly started this whole genre, you know, because whatever. And the thing is, I will give him credit, like he did. But you know what? We're living in a post-Avengers world, you know, and like the ante has been upped, okay, especially after Civil War, you know, and so you can't just keep making mediocre garbage and think it's okay. Because honestly, if you go back and you watch the first two X-Men films, they don't hold up. They do not hold up. There are a couple of good scenes, like that opening scene with Nightcrawler is so fucking cool. But I mean, honestly, they're just black and blue and depressing, and it's all about Wolverine, and it's just not, I mean, like Patrick Stewart's great, but I mean, people have been fan casting him in Wizard magazine for like 10 years beforehand, you know, like, you know, yeah. And Bryan Singer just can't seem to handle an ensemble cast. That was a big problem in this film. There was really no main character. And not that there should necessarily be a main character. I don't know. But again, you see things like Civil War, which has this crazy ensemble cast, and they make it work, and everybody advances their characters. You know, everybody has their moment to shine, you know, everybody, and nobody had their moment to shine. I felt like in this movie, like everybody just was kind of silly. And it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, Bryan Singer, you did help and you did contribute to the genre, and I'm so happy, whatever. But, you know, why tarnish that by coming back and making movies that you don't even want to make? Because quite honestly, I felt like he was asleep at the wheel. I feel like he carries a lot of comic book shame. He doesn't care. He's ashamed that this is the only job he can get, and that's why he's doing this. And he feels like he's better than this movie and these comics, and that he wants to be doing something else. He's even admitted recently that, you know, he said that he's desperate to jump into something else, but yet he still wants to produce or maybe direct in some capacity. And it's like, well, which one do you want? do you want to get the fuck out or do you want to not? Because it seems to me like the amount of effort that was put in this last movie is just shows me that you don't want to be there, and I don't want you to be there. I want someone who cares to be there. And that's the real key here. Is like you have to have people who really care and who really go back and like understand these characters, understand these stories, understand what's made them so great, and wants to see them come to life. I mean, that's kind of why, we've made 3 X-Men documentaries. Like nobody made me do this. Like I did this of my own volition. Like we chose to do this on our own because we love the X-Men, and I wanted to bring them to life in a way that shows people how they really are in the comic books, because most people just they don't want to read the comics. And so, the only frame of reference that most people have are these movies, which are not the X-Men, So I'm going to put up a poll right now. Tell me, you guys, did you think the movie was good, meh, or terrible? You let me know how you felt about it. I'd love to see some goddamn costumes at some point. These black fucking rubber costumes are just killing me. They all look like plastic rubber, and it's just like, again, you see the MCU, people are in color there. It looks good, but yet, they're just ashamed to do these costumes. And quite honestly, Hugh Jackman would not work in the Wolverine costume, though. I will say that because he's too tall. Wolverine is awesome, and he has these spikes on his head because he's a fucking shorty, and it gives him some height, it like makes sense. And like that costume works really well on a short character, and it wouldn't look good on him. So I hope I never see Hugh Jackman in that costume, but I would like to see Wolverine in the costume, just a shorter one. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, thank you, you guys, meh and offensive. I'll take that. You guys are right. Me?
Yeah.
I'm offended, but I'm offended by mediocrity, to be quite honest with you. I've been accused of being an elitist a lot in my life. But what do you want me to do? Reach for the middle? Like I feel like I want to reach for the heights. I want to see how far I can go. I want to challenge myself, and I want to challenge other people, and I want to see, the fucking heights. Like that's what we're here to do. We're not here to fucking, play patty cakes all day. It's like I feel like, this movie, if they asked me for a caption of how I, to put on the poster, I would say, gliding passionless mediocrity. That's my tagline, is gliding passionless mediocrity. It just gets by, and that's how these films have always been. They've always just gotten by. They always just kind of make their money back, just enough for Fox to keep fucking raping the X-Men. And I really want to see, I'd love to see the X-Men go back to the MCU. I would love it. It would just make me so happy. So it's like, what are you guys doing, Fox? Like Fox is just fucking killing me. They're just fucking killing me. You have Fantastic Four. Like, what was that garbage? Deadpool was good, was because the people behind it pushed for it for years. Okay, they even had to leak footage online and get an online presence to be like, no, like you guys, and there was this one executive there, and when he finally stepped down, they were able to make the Deadpool movie. And, and again, Ryan Reynolds, like he loves the character, like it's his character, like, and he really cares about it, and he understands the character, and he's so good in the role. And the fucking director, just, what's his name? Tim Miller, just like knocked it out of the park, because he obviously understands what's going on, and he loves it, and they fought for this movie for years. They were fighting for Deadpool. And that's why Deadpool's awesome, but every time Fox is like doing anything of their own, God, it's just like, oh my God. It's just, I don't know what they're doing. Okay, so here's another poll for you guys. So, which X-Men movie do you think is the worst? X-Men 3, The Last Stand, or X3, The Last Stand, Apocalypse, or Origins Wolverine? That's real tough. All right, that's tough. Okay, so Apocalypse is a 48%
Yes.
on Rotten Tomatoes. Origins is a 38%.
Yes.
And then Last Stand has a 58%?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, Last Stand has a 58.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
That's-
more offensive, actually.
Yeah, man. That, oh my God. So I watched that recently, not too long ago. A lot of the movie I'd blocked out of my memory. But like,
Just thinking about something.
I can't fucking believe that they did a fastball special, and it was just so horrid. Because Hugh Jackman's like not a little guy. If you don't know what a fastball special is, in the comics, Colossus a lot of times will throw Wolverine at people, and it's like fucking sick. It's like the coolest thing ever. And, because Wolverine's like fucking 6'2", And then Colossus is like maybe 6'3". It just looked really fucking awkward. Like, in fact, in my fucking apartment, I have a framed Paulo Rivera print of a Fastball special of like, and it's like, and like fucking Colossus just has both of Wolverine's feet in like one hand. You know, I mean, like that's the size difference between these guys, and it's like so awesome. So yeah, that's yeah. You can't do that. Although I will say, I mean, Kelsey Grammer was great as Beast, but again, that was just like he's perfect. Like yeah, like duh. Although they made him look stupid when he was like flying around on wires. They have the worst wire fighting in these X-Men movies. I mean, what is up with this wire fighting going on? It always looks awkward. Magneto looked awkward. Or Origins, Wolverine. Yeah, you guys. Okay, so let me tell you. Let me tell you about Wolverine's origin. I didn't see it in the theater because I knew it was bad and I didn't want to upset myself. I just heard that it was terrible and I was just like, I don't want to upset myself. So I didn't go see it. And T-Bone, director T-Bone made me watch it a few months ago. And he's like, let's do a commentary. It'll be really funny. And we were watching it and it was just so fucking boring and lame that like the commentary wasn't even good. We got bummed out and we didn't even release it because it was just like a shit show.
We just stopped doing commentaries after.
Yeah, it was fuck, man. Fuck. Like, and how do you fuck up Wolverine? You know, it's like he's so awesome. And like even that other Wolverine movie, it's like the other Wolverine movie was better, but like still, it's like seriously, read that comic that Frank Miller, Chris Claremont, and Frank Miller's not writing it. It's Chris Claremont writing it with Frank Miller doing the art. And like he goes to Japan and it's just so awesome. And he's just like killing all these fucking ninjas. There's like piles of ninjas, you know, he's just fucking killing all these fucking ninjas. And you see in this movie, like Wolverine's the one getting his ass kicked by ninjas and he's all full of arrows. It's like, what? This is not what I paid for, you know? And it's like, there's no blood anywhere and it's just boring and it's just fucking boring. So yeah, like, man, I don't know. I don't know about this X-Men stuff. I mean, I'm sure it's going to do, I mean, I hear it's underperforming at the box office, but you know, you still got overseas and all this other stuff going on. So I'm sure they'll eke out, you know, probably,
Can't kill the franchise with
you
it.
know, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. That's my wondering too. It's like you had Last Stand and then X-Men Origins. And I thought for sure that would kill the franchise. I thought those two fucking stinkers in a row would just destroy it. But apparently, I don't know, it doesn't somehow, which makes no sense to me.
Anything else?
So yeah, I'm done with Singerverse. I'm done. I'm over it, you know. Again, just if you want to see the real X-Men and you want to know what I'm talking about, you know, please check out Epic History X-Men Volume 3. I even got, if you guys are into Drag Race at all, last season, my friend Dax was in Drag Race and we went to college together. I met him in the sequential art department. And we both have a degree in comic books, and he loves Storm as much as I love Dazzler. Okay, like he is just like he does Storm so good. Look at his Instagram at Daxclamation. And so I asked him, I was like, well, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you want to play the voice of Storm? And he's like, yes, of course. And so he was so fucking delighted. He did the voice of Storm. And then also, gosh, my intern, Ona, she recommended this guy to us. It's one of her friends to do some voice acting for us. And his name's Chris Rockriver. And he came over and just his Wolverine is so good. Like he should seriously be fucking doing this for real. Like some fucking X-Men cartoon needs to happen. And he has to be the voice of Wolverine because his Wolverine is so good. Like we were cracking up so hard when we were doing this. And he also loves the X-Men. I mean, everybody who worked on Epic History X-Men Volume 3 has a love for the X-Men. And if anybody out there, also Mick Ignis is a part of the cast. He did a lot of voices for us, and he was actually Apocalypse. You may have seen him online. He did this really awesome Apocalypse cosplay that looked fucking sick. He did it with Lee Joyner, this really amazing artist, and they were at San Diego Comic-Con and stuff like that. So yes.
What about your Apocalypse?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, fun fact, last Halloween, I've just been hating on this movie since the beginning. I just knew it was going to be bad, you know. Here's the thing, guys. I'm going to make a confession to you. All right. I've got Jean Grey powers a little bit, all right? I got a little bit of shine. And, you know, I just know when shit's going to suck. And I'm always right. Like, I'm always right. And it's not, I mean, people say confirmation bias, whatever. You can say whatever you want, but I'm just telling you. And so I dressed up as Fox Apocalypse for Halloween. And director T-Bone was garbage trash bag, Dr. Doom. So we did 2 failed X-Men villains, and I made my costume out of paper plates and Dixie cups. Unfortunately, I did such a good job that I looked kind of awesome. So like people, and the movie wasn't even out, so people like confused as to what I was, but that's fine. I don't mind being obscure for Halloween. Like I've got no fucking problem with that. But yeah, it's actually been this month in the calendar, the Comic Book Girl 19 calendar, which is still, it's on sale for like $10 right now. If you guys want to check that out, it's on our Comic Book Girl 18 big cartel situation. Next month actually is Gene and Scott, because director T-Bone and I were also Gene and Scott. And, you know, fun fact, another fun fact, T-Bone could not be more Scott Summers if he tried. All right, this guy is like a real life Scott Summers. It's ridiculous. I even made him get like glasses with like red things, and I'm like, yeah. So, and he also does the voice for Cyclops, and he's really great. So yes, so check it out. Epic History X-Men Volume 3. Tell your friends. Don't let them go see that crappy movie. You know, don't let friends see X-Men Apocalypse. You know, it was apocalyptic to me. You know, it's just like, how can they
Can you
survive?
address some criticism, particularly the person saying that the bottom right there?
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. So T-Bone wants me to, before we're done, T-Bone wants me to address some criticism about, you know, some people who are not familiar with the comics, and they say, you know, oh, these comic book fans, you know, they just want everything to be a panel by panel recreation of these fucking comics, you know. Bleh. And it's like, dude, I don't want a panel by panel recreation. I just want something that's faithful to these characters and like
Yes.
just gets the tone correctly and gets the fucking overall feeling of this shit right. I
What
mean,
was the only movie that did that?
you know, Deadpool is like the only movie that's gotten it, you know, like they fucking got it. You know, this like that Deadpool is the only Fox made superhero movie that's like fucking nailed it. Muhammad, T-Bone was great as Cyclops. So you got
Thank
some,
you.
he says, oh, thank you. So yeah, we had so much fun. So check it out. Respect the source material, you guys. It's just, that's where it's at. That's where the money's at. And we'll see you next week for Game of Thrones Rewind, Bullshit Movie News, and Silicon Valley Rewind. And you guys have a lovely evening. I'm going to go eat some food and try to forget